Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here at this week's episode of the Market Monday. This week I'm going to be talking about rotation and why rotation offers you a very opportune time to buy into certain cards that are at their historical lows. Now, I'm going to be talking about Khans of Tarkir. Next week we'll talk about cards in Fate Reforged to invest in. This is going to be a specific Khans of Tarkir. Now, I like penny stocks. Some people like the $5 or $6 mythics or even $10, $15 rares that are obvious choices, cards like Thoughtseize out of Theros. I think that most of those cards, we can look back like Abrupt Decay, Thoughtseize, Master of Waves. A lot of them haven't even moved much from their lows since they've rotated because of people doing kind of what I'm doing here and stockpiling on certain cards. Plus, I don't think the percentage gain is, like for a Thoughtseize, is as high as a card like the card I have in front of you that can easily go from $2 to $4. Thoughtseize, I have a hard time thinking can go to from $18 right now to $36 as quickly as a Siege Rhino type card can go from $2 to $4. So for my number one or my number 10 pick, let's talk about the obvious elephant in the room, or in this case, Rhino in the room, which is Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino is one of the most powerful cards in the creature form ever printed. It works very well in formats that can fix, and it's just an auto-include in so many of these colors. If you're in the Abzan color, Siege Rhino is probably going to go in your deck. Now, it works really well in Modern. It's a staple in the Abzan deck. Let's see if we have any that have been played. So there's a Junk, well, Junk is Abzan now, and Siege Rhino goes in it. It's actually in a Legacy deck. It is in Wiltleaf Liege Abzan as well. It's just easy if you're already in a green-white. It's easy to splash that last black for the Wiltleaf Liege. Wiltleaf Liege and Siege Rhino make the Siege Rhino huge. It becomes a 6/7 trample, which is basically unstoppable in the Modern format if you can get it out on turn number 3 very quickly and then follow it up with a Wiltleaf Liege. Off of like a Noble Hierarch or Birds of Paradise. So I think that Siege Rhino has a lot of room to grow in 2, 3, 4 years when people revisit the format. I think Junk rotates in and out of Modern. It's very good against Delver and Jund. So when Jund and Delver are big, Abzan comes and kind of preys on those two type decks. Now, Junk doesn't do as good of or Abzan doesn't do as good of a job as Jund if really controlling combo-based decks. I think that combo-based decks really, that's when Jund shines because of the ability to have Thoughtseize and other, like Kolaghan's Command and other really, really strong disruption cards, followed up by super hyper aggression from Lightning Bolt and Dark Confidant and the Tarmogoyf. Now, the difference between Abzan and Jund is basically how much you value Kolaghan's Command and Lightning Bolt over Siege Rhino and Path to Exile. So there's kind of the trade-offs there. Anyway, so I don't think we need to discuss too much about Siege Rhino. It was powerful. It's powerful now. It will be powerful in 2, 3, 4 years. I don't see them really printing another card on the same power level as Siege Rhino. It was just one of those cards that was jammed in to really make the clan, the Abzan clan, actually viable. They try to do this with one creature card of every type of the clans, and I think they made Siege Rhino just a little bit too powerful for standard, and that's gonna morph back over into power level in Modern for years to come. So on to my next card, which is a casual card, which is $1. I love dollar mythics, and especially Hooded Hydra. It's an X spell. Traditionally in the casual and the commander format, X spells are pretty valuable. They're easy to cheat out to, 5, 10, 15 mana. There's a lot of degenerate ways to do so in casual, and it's a type of card that Timmies love to really exploit. So Hooded Hydra is a 2 mana and X, and then enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and then when it dies, you get that many snake creature tokens on the battlefield for each +1/+1 counter. So it's kind of like the Chasm Skulker type ability, and Chasm Skulker continues to climb just due to casual pressure. Each turn, every time you draw a card, you get +1/+1 counter, and then when it dies, you get a ton of squid. This is just, you dump a bunch of mana into it immediately, and then when it dies, you get a bunch of snakes. This goes in a lot of token-based strategies in Commander, And again, it's one of those cards that people love to exploit. Die effects are very popular, X effects are very popular, +1/+1 counters are very popular, and lots of tokens are very popular. So I think it fits the bill for all that criteria. And you can't go wrong with a dollar mythic. This might go down from $1 to 75 cents to 50 cents, but I have a hard time thinking it can go down much further than that. And I think this is a great time to pick it up. Now, I don't think I explained this. Right now, you don't need to press the button right now to buy these rotated cards. They'll continue to go down for 3, 4, 5, 6 months after rotation. That's your window. That is your window that you buy the rotated cards. I'd even say that a lot of these cards, like possibly this Hooded Hydra, have about a year of this window where you can buy in. They'll hit their bottom and they'll stay there at their bottom. We're finally starting to see cards from like Ravnica start to go up in value, and that was rotated, that's 2 years ago that Ravnica was a thing? So now we're even seeing the cards from the Theros block still stay pretty stagnant, but we're starting to actually see some Theros cards start to recover. So I think that Hooded Hydra, take that window of opportunity for it. You'll thank yourself when this is a $2, $3 mythic in a few years, and you can actually use it in trade fodder to the casual crowd. So this card going up from $1 to $3 is, again, like Abrupt Decay going up from $15 to $45. I mean, once you get into your kind of trading groove, you'll be able to trade off, especially if you use like services like Puka Trade, or if you have a big enough, if you live in a place with multiple game stores, if you want to go on like a trading spree, it's actually easy to unload cards like this, especially to more of the casual crowd. All right, on to the next one is going to be Sidisi Brute Tyrant. I like this kind of the same thing because it's such a casual card. If you've ever tried this card as a commander, this card is bonkers good as a commander. I like Sidisi Brute Tyrant. I have a zombie tribal that I've done with Sidisi because it does put out black zombie creature tokens every time you mill a creature card from your library, or every instance of a mill. It only triggers once per big mill. But anyway, this card can actually be exploited through a ton of different cards in the format. There's ways to go infinite, Alter Dementia with this card, and a few other ways in Commander. And I think it's a very, very powerful ability that I could actually see play in Modern. I think we've seen this card very rare. Once in a blue moon, we actually see this card hit Modern. I'm going to scroll down to see if we've seen it, but I know that it has been played before in a Modern-based deck that can really exploit the 2/2 zombie creature tokens. One thing about Modern is sometimes it's harder to deal with multiple targets, and that's why I'm still a big believer in Soul Sisters and Spectral Processions and Squadron Hawk, especially from that deck, is decks like Jund have to kill it multiple times, and a 1/1 in Modern can be a threat, and the same can be said about a 2/2. Usually you'll get a 2/2 black zombie out the same time that you get Sidisi, and if you get one just little mill activation, you have another black zombie, and then you spread the board, and a lot of decks have a hard time actually dealing with that. Now, 4 mana, that is kind of the hard spot in Modern to cast. It really needs to be doing a lot of work, but I think that Sidisi can fit that criteria in the right hands. So, I mean, it almost has like a bridge from below type effect added on to a creature. Definitely not quite as powerful, but it's something that I think on the right hands, again, can be broken in Modern. It's just a matter of time. This is one of those cards that it's better as time goes on, not worse, because there'll be more things that interact with it. And the casual and commander crowd are always going to shove this in. A Sultai type brew. It's a great commander. So you can pick up like foils, and this card will actually, the foils especially, will start to go up in value just from the commander pressure. All right, on to the next one is Murderous Cut. This is my first uncommon that I'm going to talk about. Murderous Cut is a very powerful card. It might go slightly down from the 47 cents once it does rotate, but this card sees play in Vintage and in Legacy, and is pretty powerful in the Grixis Delve in Modern. It's usually at least a one of. You don't see Modern playing it right now in these how Goldfish does it. It's just the last couple months of decks that went 5-0 or actually placed high in like a Star City Open or a Grand Prix. But of course, we're not going to see a variety of cards right now when 50% of the metagame is Eldrazi, and Murderous Cut does very, very, very little against Eldrazi. So it's not a card that I think that right now is playable, but once that's out of the way and Grixis Delves is a thing again, or if we actually start seeing some other variations. I think Jund every now and again runs Murderous Cut. They don't like it in Jund as much because it can hit off the Dark Confidant, and then that's 5 damage to the face. But any sort of black strategy that puts cards in the graveyard, we have Madness that is coming out now that actually works very well with Delve. We could actually see Murderous Cut see more play in Modern. I'm glad that we don't have Delve and a lot of Madness cards at the same time. I think that'd be just so broken in Standard. A lot of graveyard interactions. So I think this is just an obvious choice. Pick up your Murderous Cuts. Let's see, what is it? I'll have to show my Puka trade history, but I've made a killing off of Thought Scours. That's a huge one. Spreading Seas. What's another one I've sent? Wall of Omens. Let me think of a few other commons. Goblin Bushwhackers recently. I've been trading those off for $2 a piece. Let's see here. Thought Scours especially. I've sent off so many Thought Scours. Oh, Shrieking Afflictions for 75 points a piece. So keep your bulk. In fact, I love to target bulk. I like to just say, hey, do you have any of these? Like, I buy bulk at $4 per 1,000. Sometimes I can actually get away with doing $3 per 1,000. And then these are the perfect cards that I'm looking for. Once I go through all the, what I call, there's what's called bulk and true bulk and then value in what I do is I separate the true bulk, which is cards that have 0 chance of ever seeing play. And then I put bulk in another section, which has like unique abilities or could see play with a right type of card. And then there's value. And I consider this card value because even though it's only 47 cents right now, this card will be $1 uncommon in 2-3 years, and you'll see it be like the Spreading Seas and the Goblin Bushwhackers and the Wall of Omens, where people actually want this, and you can end up trading a boatload of these for cards you want. We've been able to fulfill all of our customer orders exclusively from Puka Trade, and most from Thought Scours, because I had over 100 Thought Scours just from picking them up during Dark Ascension drafts and whatnot. So anyway, that's a great card to target. You can often get these for nothing. You can get these for throw-ins with trades. Or going through people's bulk and just asking if you can even have it. Like, hey, what do you want for this? And then people will be like, oh, just take it. And it's just going to rot in their cards forever, so it's not doing them any sort of a service. So anyway, that's a great speculation target is Murderous Cut. Next one I want to talk about is Deflecting Palm. Deflecting Palm, I think it's better if there are more mid-range type strategies in Modern, and this card already does see play in a lot of burn decks in Modern. Yeah, look at this. Naya Burn Zuzu. It's actually seeing more play in the Modern format that is in Standard. That's because Modern can do a lot of degenerate things. This is always really fun to do against like the all-out type strategies that try to do, like Tooth and Nail tries to with Emrakul, 30 damage, you deflect it back. That happened to me actually when I was live streaming, I believe, on Twitch. Someone Deflecting Palm my 30-30 Emrakul. It works okay versus Ad Nauseam. It depends on how because I believe you can still redirect. No, so next time Source would deal damage. Yeah, so Deflecting Palm does work against like Ad Nauseam. And there are plenty of decks in the history of Modern that have just tried to do this like one turn kill. Great against Infect, great against plenty of other. If nothing else, even if you put this in versus like burn-based decks, you can Deflecting Palm a Boros Charm, and that is huge. You just prevented 4 damage and done 4 damage to your opponent. Very good against the Zoo decks. Like, it's funny that Deflecting Palm is actually really good against some of these decks that are specified, especially like Suicide Zoo. Against Suicide Zoo, you can deflect the huge damage done through the Death Shadow or something like that, or like a huge Mardu or Monastery Swiftspear that's been pumped up Temur Battle Rage Kiln Fiend. So I think the Deflecting Palm, again, will always be a nice little sideboard option, and these type of cards 1, 2, 3 years down the road will be $1, $2, not 50 cents. So I think Deflecting Palm is a great one to pick up. Hardened Scales is my next pick. Hardened Scales is just a casual favorite. Of course, this card is very reminiscent of like Doubling Season. That just is like, it's almost $50 right now for Doubling Season. It's definitely not as powerful because Doubling Season does tokens, does loyalty counters, does everything. Hardened Scales just does +1/+1 counters and only does 1 +1/+1 counters. But I use this in a lot of commander decks. I especially like this in Animar. Animar is one of the most popular commanders, so of course this is going to be one of the very first cards that an Animar deck is going to pick up for the deck. It does a lot of broken things with plenty of cards. I think I've seen a Hardened Scales Modern deck every now and again with +1/+1 counters, but it's probably not powerful enough for Modern. You'll see a lot of it, people start dumping these after rotation. So I don't know if this is the right time, the right window to pick up Hardened Scales. I think it might go back down to $150, $125, and this is just a duh card. This is one of those casual cards that will continue to just slowly gain price, or if it's not gaining value, it's actually gaining less in the marketplace, and then we'll see one of those huge spikes when the market actually finally runs out and then people actually want to pick up their copies. And it's another card that also gets better with every +1/+1 counter printed. This card gets better and has more options to synergize with. So very duh card, great pickup. Next card is Crackling Doom. This sees play in Modern Mardu already. It's a very great card against creature-based decks that try to kill you with a huge creature. It's actually even good versus Tarmogoyf, as a lot of times they leave back. They'll have like a Dark Confidant. You'll end up being able to kill at least the Tarmogoyf and take care of that threat and do 2 damage to them. Sometimes you'll be able to kill Tarmogoyf and kill their Liliana. That's a very common situation when you go against the Jund. Mardu is actually building up a lot of steam in Modern. Mardu Control uses like Lingering Souls and Crackling Dooms and Path to Exiles, Lightning Helixes, just a lot of value-based cards, and they just win the game. Some of them use like Young Pyromancers. There's a ton of ways to build it, and Crackling Doom, if not mainboard, it definitely is a good sideboard card. This card is broken out. I think there was a deck with Geist of St. Traft. It was like 4-color Geist. They use Crackling Doom, and it was just a great control card against your opponent, because you need to give your guys some sort of unblockable, your Geist, because you don't want it getting blocked, and Crackling Doom actually clears the field. If they have to leave back like a measly 1/1, it's still, they can't block with that against your guys, so they lose it. Crackling Doom is also very good against Bogle, so if Bogles ever gets big, Crackling Doom is a great answer, especially anything in Mardu colors. And we've seen Jund actually splash white before and just become, they call it white Jund just for Lingering Souls usually, or Path to Exiles. And then same thing, we've seen Abzan splash red for Lightning Bolt, and then this card can then be crammed into that deck. I think that Crackling Doom actually has a little more room to fall. The thing about Khans of Tarkir is this is the most open set ever, and it's going to continue to be open until there is no more Khans of Tarkir sealed boxes, because it does have fetch lands. It's a very great investment. All of these sets recently have been very good. It's very hard for a standard set to hold like a higher than what's called a $60 EV, or estimated value. That means if you're going to crack your box and be able to sell at TCG mid, that a lot of boxes have a hard time having above that $60 mark. And you need to get it above, I believe vendors get the boxes for like $72 to $78. I actually think it's now up to like $75 to $83 is what your typical local game store or person is going to be able to get the boxes for. And so if you're picking up regular boxes like Theros during its height even was not worth that much money, you're losing like $20 per booster box. And right now, Khans of Tarkir, I believe, is hovering around that $75 to $80 range just because of the fetch lands, so it actually makes it semi-profitable for vendors to open up the booster boxes just for the fetch lands. And what that does to the rest of the cards in the set is it devalues them down into almost nothing, and that's what we've kind of seen with $2 Siege Rhinos and $1 Crackling Dooms, with the amount of play both of these cards have seen in Standard. So anywho, I think that all the Khans of Tarkir are going to kind of suffer from that for a while, but 2, 3, 4 years down the road, who cares if this is one of the most open sets? If every day a Crackling Doom gets coffee spilled on it, that's always the joke about Black Lotuses too. That's why price will always continue to go up. This is the same thing. It's kind of a hard card to print in any sort of standard set just due to the 3 colors. And they've already done 3-color, I believe, haven't they done 3-color commander decks? So I have a hard time seeing this card being reprinted for quite some time. On to the next one is another casual card, which is Grim Haruspex. This has been a promo. Yeah, this was like a pre-release event. Okay, so there's a lot of these out there. Or was there another promo? Ugin's Fate. Okay, so it actually hasn't been printed that much. Just the Ugin's Fate had some alternate art for it. But the Grim Haruspex Specs is a really powerful card in any sort of commander-based strategy, and this is what Black wants, is creatures dying and then recurring and drawing cards, and this fits the bill. It goes in almost every one of my Black commander decks. Yeah, it just fits in. Love it in the Hakon tribal zombie deck, because I'm going to be casting Gravecrawlers then sacking them, and this is a way for me to this is kind of like my other cranial or not Cradle Planing, the Skull Clamp. It's like another Skull Clamp type card in my deck for me. It allowed for me to keep drawing fuel, and I always love to keep this guy protected. If you see him in Commander, kill him instantly because he's usually going to be doing some degenerate things. At 35 cents, this is a bulk rare. You can probably find this in bulk binders and bulk pins for 10 cents a piece. And I highly suggest picking it up because it definitely isn't a bulk ability. In fact, this ability is very rare. A lot of times when you see this ability, it's on a 6 converted mana cost creature. I believe there's a 6 or 5 one out of Avacyn or one of the Innistrad blocks, and it still sees a lot of play. This is also has a morph ability, so that it can't be just reprinted in any old set. I think that it's easy to reprint in like a Commander-based set, but it's a lot harder to even reprint in a box-based set, just because morph needs the 2/2 morph token to go with it. And yeah, I think that this has a very, very hard reprint likelihood in the future. On to, I guess it's been played in a Legacy deck. I've seen it in Aristocrats build in Modern as well, so it does have implication outside of Standard and outside of Commander. So pick these guys up. You will not be disappointed in 2 to 3 years. Next one, and this one is a obvious because this is already starting to build up steam, and I see people wanting this on Puka Trade like crazy, and it's not for Standard. It is definitely for Modern. It's Stubborn Denial. This card works very well in the Kiln Fiend decks and the kind of Death Shadows deck. We starting to see an affinity even, and UI Eldrazi, of course, is going to go away, but a lot of the Eldrazi decks want it in Modern. But the first time I saw this being played in Modern was actually in like a Kiln Fiend or Monastery, Swift Spear, Death Shadows type deck. It was their go-to counterspell. You see an Infect every once in a while in Modern as well, as just another way to counter a spell because your guys will be above the power that they need to be to make this just counter it, or just at worst, it's just a 1 mana counter target non-creature spell for 1. I mean, it's not a dead card if you don't have Ferocious online. I'm trying to think of the kind of a little bit of a Force Spike type card. And Stubborn Denial is one of those cards again you can find in bulk. This is the exact reason that I target bulk. And if you have any foil copies, definitely they've been going up like crazy, I believe. Let's just check it out. Nope, it's been a while since they've moved, but didn't get like a promo printing whatsoever, so there's only one foil version of the Stubborn Denial. And the card will continue to go up long term as it will continue to see play in a lot of decks. I think it's actually powerful enough. Maybe not quite powerful enough for Legacy, but definitely powerful enough in Modern. There's not a lot of options that kind of do the same thing I mean, there's the 1 mana counter target spell unless they pay 2, but this is just a hard counter that the Stubborn Denial provides you. Last but not least, drumroll please. This is Jess Guy Ascendancy. This card, there's like at least 100 people that want it right now on Puka Trade. I think people are anticipating, and this is a Madness Engine, and it's just a very, very powerful card in Modern. It's already seen play in Modern before, where there's a number of ways to build Jess Guy Ascendancy, and all of them are very powerful, especially whenever the power level gets dumbed down in Modern due to a ban. I think Jess Guy Ascendancy gets a lot more powerful, or just when the metagame kind of shifts, people can slide this under the radar and win a lot of games, because Jess Guy Ascendancy is a very fast, very powerful deck no matter how you build it, and it's not hard at all with a 3 mana to get it out in Modern. It's down to 68 cents a piece. So you start to see it climb a little bit. I think that's just anticipation of Madness, and now more Madness cards in Modern makes this card that much stronger. We have yet to see all of the spoiled Madness cards. If we get like another Madness counterspell or a Madness draw type card like we had back in when Madness was first around in Legacy, then I think that Jeskai Ascendancy gets really powerful, because it allows you to discard a specific card. This is not random. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card and discard a card. This is a huge, huge Madness enabler. Of course, getting +1/+1 and untapping creatures is also exceptionally broken, and this card gets better as time goes on. You can see all of these Modern decks that it's actually seen playing in these different type of Jeskai Ascendancy decks. The Jeskai Delver, I believe, is just like a value-based strategy. Ascendancy Ascension, I can't remember what that... Oh, Pyromancer's Ascension with Jeskai Ascendancy trying to... I believe it's Young Pyromancer that's in here. Let's just check this deck out. This seems cool. Nope, no Young Pyromancer in here. It's just Fate Stitcher. So, Pyromancer's Ascension and the Jeskai Ascendancy to try to create a ton of +1/+1 on a Fate Stitcher just to kill for 1 turn. And the cool thing about Fate Stitcher is it's easy to loot through. Jeskai Ascendancy gives itself haste, gets huge, swings in for lethal. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's just the breakdown of my top 10 cards. Just to go over quickly here. They are at the top: Siege Rhino, Hooded Hydra, Sidisi Brute Tyrant, Murderous Cut, Deflecting Palm, Hardened Scales, Crackling Doom, Grim Haruspex, Stubborn Denial, and the Jess Guy Ascendancy. I'd like to know if there's any cards I've missed that you would spec into. This, of course, is my top 10. There's probably a few more in Constark here. It was a bomb of a set. Very, very powerful. Well done by Wizards. I particularly didn't like it in a standard type environment, but it does have some very, very powerful cards for modern and eternal formats, as well as like the commander formats. Now, last thing I want to talk about is how to speculate properly. I've got a lot of hate lately for speculating. It's just another thing. If you're going to join a hobby, it's almost like if you were to start to drive car for a living, why wouldn't you want to learn about being a mechanic? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous not to if you're going to be spending a lot of money fixing your car. It's kind of the same thing with Magic. Why wouldn't you spend some time learning the market? You want to be the one that just continue to get screwed by the market, or do you want to be on top of the market and make your collection go the furthest possible? So that's kind of where I stand. I also am a vendor. I own a local game store, so it's very important for me to be on top of this, as well as speculations have literally funded my channel. Yes, I get sponsorships. Yes, I get some paid product placements every now and again. Yes, I get some YouTube ad revenue, which is terrible, by the way. But the main thing that has kept my channel going is smart speculations. I was able to get into Stony Silence when it was very, very cheap, a bulk rare, and I told everyone else to get in it, and people laughed at me for it. And now it's up to, what, 13 bucks? Hell Rider was another huge spec that I made pre-rotation, and we'll talk about that next week as maybe cards that get a lot better with this next set. I'm just waiting for the rest of the spoiled cards to kind of process, and then we'll talk about cards that you can spec into that get a lot better with Innistrad. But speculation is yes, mass speculators is, I believe, bad for the game, but there's no way an individual like me or a collection of individuals can actually affect the market as much as these mass speculators. Mass speculators also have ulterior motives. We've already had people talk about how there are people using Magic the Gathering and other collectible card games to basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Cook the books or funnel money. What is the word I'm looking for? Where you illegally move money into one form or another to avoid taxes. I cannot think today. Anyway, so we've been talking about, there have been people that basically called out of the vendors saying this is drug money that's just being, just think about it, taking $500, $600, $700,000 to a Grand Prix and just spending it at a loss just so you can turn illegitimate money into legitimate money when then you now sell your cards for full market value and then actually get legitimate money that you can pay legitimate tax on. Yeah, anyway, that's another ugly talking point for another day. But anyway, I think that has more to do with the market manipulation than just private speculators, private collectors will ever have on it. I mean, you have no idea how much these vendors really do have as far as money when they take it to a Grand Prix and just buy out cards. It is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars per vendor, and when there's 15 to 20 vendors per Grand Prix, you can see just the amount of money that is made in the buying and selling of Magic cards. Individuals do not have anywhere near the impact. Anyway, so I'm just going to talk about how you as a private person can speculate. So let's go over here. TCG is usually my go-to place, as TCG has this exploitable feature called price plus shipping. Now, this is the way that I always speculate. So the first thing you want to click is this price plus shipping, and click it off to item price only. Item price only, and then what you want to do is you want to click on 4 or more copies. So here's a perfect one. Here's this Guardian Automaton. Yeah, that's what it says. Sorry, it's very, very little on my text here. Someone is selling 55 of them for 1 cent a piece, but the shipping is $3. This is what they don't want to get screwed on, like the free shipping. A lot of people do free shipping, and then you buy one card from them, and they're forced. Or TCG makes you spend at least $1. And sometimes what happens is people will buy 10-cent cards, and you are basically, if you have 10 cards in a package, you're going to be paying close to $1 in an envelope with a stamp, with a hard case, with an extra ounce stamp, with the padding necessary to make sure the cards come okay as the guidelines of TCG player. You're going to be actually losing money on that transaction. And so a lot of people want to safeguard themselves by adding this $3 shipping. So at least if people run this minimum dollar order, they're going to actually cover the shipping and make a little bit of profit on it. So that's what this Augie's Games is trying to do. Well, there's another way to kind of exploit that, and I don't want to, this is just the name of the game. I don't think that what I'm doing is dishonest or unethical in any way. It's just the name of the game. So, for example, if you're specking on this Guardian Automaton, you could buy all 55 copies, and then you divide $3 by 55, and that's the cost per card per shipping, and it would barely bring this up at all when you're buying that much. You'll be getting them for what, like 4 cents a piece or something like that on the math. Or probably even less than that. So that's the way you do that. So when we're speculating on cards, we'll just put a Jess Guy Ascendancy. I'm going to see if we can find a similar type. And you don't need to do this all at once. This is something just every morning you can wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to check to see if there's any of these that fulfill like what I'm trying to do. So right now, let's just go back and just go price plus shipping. So the cheapest Jess Guy Ascendancy I can do right now is 66 cents. That's actually way good because there's no shipping. Is there free shipping on this thing? It looks like there's free shipping if you go over the over $25. So if you're gonna buy enough of these, the cheapest we can get is 55 cents including shipping. That's actually very reasonable. But a lot of times if you go back over this item price only, and you can get them for less than 55 cents if you add in. So here's 30 cents a piece plus 69 cents shipping. So if we do 4 of these, you divide 69 by 4, we're looking at 45 cents-ish of, or a little more than that, of cost per card. So that's actually a better deal going through here than it is going through. And I think that you can actually, like this, both of these are card monsters, one's lightly played, one's near mint. If you add these together, I believe it still is just that one-time shipping. So there's a great way to find it. But what you really want to do is you want to find the quantities that are huge, like in the, if you're planning on spending like a good chunk of change, that, ew, wow, someone, it looks like right as we speak, people are buying these up, huh? Are these all foils? These are all foils. How come it's looking at foils? I did not click foil. Let's click it off normal here. All right, TCG's messing up. Let's research it. Yeah. All right, so we'll go back to... Oh, is there not any 4-ofs? That is the only 4-ofs, huh? Well, wow, didn't we just barely see 4-ofs as I was talking about this? That is crazy. Yeah, okay, someone beat everyone to the punch here. Jess Guy Ascendancy is literally, as I was speaking, just been bought up on TCG. Crazy. Anyway, that's a good way to do it. Wow. We'll go ahead and upload this video, but you can usually find, let's just check out another card here. Let's find one. What do I have on here? Hooded Hydra. This should be an easy one. So Hooded Hydra is on the... So here's one, price plus shipping, 91 cents is the cheapest one I can find. Item price only, quantity 4 of or more. You can find, if you get up to like the 8 of, 99 cents. Yep, this will be cheaper. So the 90 cents a piece plus a little over 12 cents a piece on shipping equals... Yeah, 96 cents, or this would be still would actually be more cheap than just the regular one. But that's, you have to find a lot of quantities, and that's why you need to scour it every now and again, and you'll find someone that's like selling like 25 of them at $2.99 shipping, and that's the perfect one. Or like this one, shipping at $9.99, but they have 100 of them, and or even more than that. I mean, at $9.99, you'd have to have a huge quantity, but there's a way to actually get the cost per card lower than if you were just to simply come over here and do price plus shipping. Anyway, let me know in the comment section below. That's crazy about Jess Guy Ascendancy. It got bought out right as we were speaking. I guess there's going to be a huge spike on that. Anyway, this has been Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Thanks for watching.